Well, Ken Tomash, were the polls at least kind to the Seminoles even after they lost?
May have been a lot kinder than some people might have thought. I know a lot of people thought, well, after the loss to Miami, they might drop a few notches, maybe even more, maybe down to the bottom of the top 10. But some folks, including Bobby Bowden, who we'll hear from a little later on, weren't convinced that was going to happen, and it didn't. Well, apparently, those who vote on the Associated Press Top 20 College Football poll felt about the same way Florida State felt about their performance against Miami. A heartbreaking loss, to be sure, but still to one of the best teams on the planet. So the Seminoles find themselves dropping only 2 spots this week, down to number 6. Oklahoma is still number 1. They got 46 first-place votes. They and Nebraska will probably stay 1-2 until the end of the season when they meet. But the Cornhuskers will be without their top quarterback, Steve Taylor, this week against Kansas. He's got an injured shoulder, so we'll have to watch that. Miami stays at number 3. They really didn't have anywhere to go. Notre Dame up a spot to number 4. Auburn moves up 1 to number 5. The Seminoles will travel to Auburn next month, remember. Right after FSU at number 7 is Louisiana State. Clemson is 8th, Ohio State 9th, and Tennessee 10th. UCLA is still number 11, Michigan 12th, Arizona State 13th, Penn State checking in at number 14, and Alabama at 15. The Georgia Bulldogs move up from 20 to 16. Syracuse, 5-0 for the first time since 1959, the year they won the national championship, is at 17. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Florida beat Alabama and dropped 3 spots in the poll. This week, they lose to LSU and move up a spot to number 18. Go figure it out. Oklahoma State and Arkansas round out this week's top 20. Now, that 26-25 loss to Miami Saturday and the drop in the polls would seem to throw a huge roadblock in the way of any national championship hopes the Seminoles had. But the Tribe players and Chief Bobby Bowden still feel there's a shot if they keep winning and get a break or 2.
You have to look back at the situation when Oklahoma won the national championship 2 or 3 years ago. Miami beat them by 1 point, and they came back and won that championship. So I hope everybody else on the team has the same attitude I do, because I feel like we still have a good shot at it.
From what I've heard, it's not going to hurt our rankings that much, you know, but you still got to win on down the road. It's just like had we won that one. We still got to win down the road. So let's just hope something good is going to happen to this ball club.
And the Seminoles will hope something good happens to them this Saturday. They travel to Hattiesburg, Mississippi to play Southern Miss, a team that destroyed Louisville this past weekend, 65-6. Let's check out the latest high school polls just out tonight. In Florida, Class 5A, Pensacola, Washington still on top. Panama City, Mosley is at number 8, with Lake City, Columbia in at number 10. Class 4A shows 3 Tallahassee schools, Godby in at number 2, Leon is 6th, and Lincoln is number 9. Class 3A, Live Oak Sewanee is 4-0 and the number 1 team, while Defuniak Springs Walton is number 3. Class 2A, Chipley is number 1, with Florida High from Tallahassee 3rd. And in Class 1A, the Baby Rattlers of FAMU High check in at number 4. Moving up into Georgia, we find the defending state and national champion Valdosta Wildcats still on top in Class 4A. In 3A, Thomasville Central and Thomasville are 1 and 3, with Worth County checking in at number 5. And one final note on polls tonight, the Valdosta State Blazers 4-0 record, good enough for a 7th place ranking in the latest NCAA Division II poll. With the National Football League player strike seemingly rotting from within, player representatives from the 28 NFL teams are meeting at this hour in Chicago with Union Chief Gene Upshaw. They're discussing their options, but Upshaw says one thing they will not do is sell out to management.
The players are not going back to work without an agreement. That's really the number 1 issue. We cannot go back to work without one. We did that in 1974. We're not going to do that now. And regardless of what the issues are, we have to have an agreement.
Meantime, the first NFL weekend to be sponsored by Kelly Girl, the temporary services people, comes to close tonight with the replacement New York Giants and the replacement San Francisco 49ers replacing the Monday Night Movie. Right now, they're in the 3rd with the Niners leading at 24-7. Someone named Mark Stevens is playing quarterback for the 49ers, so you can guess what kind of game we're talking about here. Okay, we are on the eve of the baseball playoffs. After 162 games, the 4 division champions begin the best-of-7 league championship series. That'll decide who plays in the World Series. In St. Louis, everything's coming up Cardinal red as the city celebrates its 3rd National League East title in 6 years. The Cards dethroned the Mets as division champs this year. St. Louis will be the site for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, which begins tomorrow night. The Western Division champion San Francisco Giants will send their ace, Rick Russell, to the mound against St. Louis's Danny Cox. That game at 8:30. Meanwhile, in Detroit, Tiger fans braved overnight temperatures reaching into the 40s to buy tickets for the American League title tilt. The middle 3 games will be held in Tiger Stadium this coming weekend, and the Tigers, of course, came back to clinch the Eastern Division Championship this past weekend over the Toronto Blue Jays by winning that 3-game series. And meantime, the Western Division champs, the Minnesota Twins, returned home to find over 6,000 fans at the airport waiting for them. The Twins were the first team to clinch a title and finish their season on the road. As in Detroit, fans waited through the night to get tickets to the AL Championship Showdown. That series will open up Wednesday night at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The autumn peak continues during the early part of October as far as the fishing goes. Tuesday shows terrific action throughout the day, but the highlights are from midnight to 4 a.m., noon to about 3 p.m., and 6 p.m. till about 9:30. And Julie, that's sports.
Thanks, Ken. And finally tonight, a visit with